everyone, and welcome to the SportsWatch Peach Bowl preview show featuring Ole Miss and TCU. I'm Browning Stubbs alongside Colin, Cody. Colin, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing, Browning?
I'm doing wonderful. And Colin, we got a great matchup featuring Ole Miss and TCU. Ole Miss, the #1 scoring defense, versus TCU, the second highest scoring offense in the country. And Colin, man, we got two great teams that are going to be battling out on the gridiron in Atlanta this year. And when we talk about bowl games, Colin, Ole Miss, they've won 10 out of their last 11 bowl games. TCU has won 3 out of their last 5. Two teams that really want to win, and I could not be more excited.
Yeah, Brown. Like you said, those are two outstanding numbers. 10-1, 3-5. I mean, these teams, they both bring great opportunity to win to the table. So it will be a great matchup when they battle off in Atlanta. And
this is Ole Miss's second time playing in the Peach Bowl. They won back in 1971 against Georgia Tech. This is TCU's first time in the Peach Bowl, and what should be a great matchup set for New Year's Eve at 12:30 Eastern. ESPN will broadcast the action. There's so much hype about this game, Colin, and it's going to be one of the most hyped up games of the bowl season.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of excitement right here in Oxford, Mississippi. And Colin and I, we got the chance to speak to some students about how they're feeling about the Peach Bowl.
Ole Miss fanfare this year has been fantastic. You know, with the athletic director redirecting the attention of our student body and the local people here in Oxford. I think our fans have shown great support this past season, and it's a great thing.
We had a great year this year, and Hugh Freeze is doing a really good job here with the Rebels. I know our defense had some fantastic games, and they were ranked really high nationally. And we have one guy on our team, Golson, who was he was the top safety in the SEC this year. So I mean, we've got some good stuff on defense.
We have more star recruits. Our school is bigger and more prestigious, and we have more championships than we do.
Both are teams that have something to prove. Ole Miss with a very rocky later season. We definitely want to prove ourselves that we are one of the top best teams in the nation, as well as TCU. The only loss that they had was Baylor, so they kind of got robbed for their top 4 spot. So they definitely have a chip on their shoulder.
Of course, TCU is coming out with a chip on their shoulder. They're in the top 10 in college football, and they're playing the Ole Miss Rebels, who have a great history in football. Of course, they're coming out with guns blazing. They're bringing their best out. Both teams are good teams in the country right now, and this is the last game of the season, so I expect a high-scoring game.
This is a game that you want to try to keep TCU's offense off the field as much as possible. So whether you control the ball with either your running game or a short passing attack, I think this is the kind of game where the less opportunities you give Boykin to exploit your defense, the more likely is your chance of being successful in that ballgame.
You know, they got a great offense. You know, they score a lot of points, and that's what, I think that's their bread and butter, getting the ball down the field as fast as possible, getting in the end zone, and getting right back in the end zone, the next drive. So
they have a quarterback that's very mobile. It's going to pose a challenge to us, but with our guys' speed and athleticism, it won't do too much. We just have to keep a spy on them, contain them a little bit.
Final score, I'm going to say Ole Miss 27, TCU 24.
I think we'll have a lot of people there. We'll almost probably have a home field advantage being so close to Mississippi. So I think we'll probably have over half the stadium filled up with red and blue.
So the Rebels will win by a landslide.
Now, Colin, it's not just here in Oxford where there's a lot of excitement about the Peach Bowl, but also in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, and our very own Madison Amon got the chance to speak to some students at TCU, and they expressed their excitement about playing in the Peach Bowl.
With the Peach Bowl matchup between Ole Miss and the TCU Horned Frogs coming up, I had the chance to speak with a few TCU students about how they feel about the upcoming game.
It's been an awesome season. I know a lot of the boys on the team, and I know how hard they work over the summer and through the year. And although the rankings didn't really turn out like we expected, I think we're going to come into the Peach Bowl and ready to play our best.
Coming up from last year, I think we just improved 100%. You can tell with our season, with our players. Trayvon, he's putting in. He was a candidate, or he was thinking about being a candidate for the Heisman. So, mean, I think we did work this year, and our standings, I think, were a little unfair for our rankings due to the size of our school, but that's just me.
I think our football team has been amazing. Our season was phenomenal. We started off as the underdogs, definitely, especially going into our game against OU, and we definitely proved that we are a team that is here and ready to fight for the national title. So.
After finishing 6th in the college football playoff rankings, all TCU fans felt like this was an unfair ranking compared to their rival Baylor.
Absolutely disappointed. It was definitely a blow to the self-esteem, but it was probably one of the most disappointing moments of the season.
It was definitely disappointing, but I don't think the team could have done anything different. They absolutely worked their hardest, and they went out to that last game and were very respectful. They took a knee. They wanted to do what the appropriate sportsmanlike thing to do was, and I think they did everything they could to show the committee what they were made of.
So upset.
Range.
It's not fair. It's not fair. It's all about the money.
Although they weren't pleased with the rankings, TCU students do think that they will continue to stay on top of the Rebs even after the Peach Bowl.
I think TCU is going to win. I think it will be a very tough game, and it won't be a runaway game, but go Frogs.
Oh, TCU #1, we're going to come out on top personally. 24-17 TCU. 24-17 TCU.
Oh, I think we're going to win.
Yeah, me too.
By like 20.
The Ole Miss Rebels will be taking on the TCU Horned Frogs on December 31st in Atlanta. For SportsWatch, this has been Madison Amon.
Now, Colin, before we break down the actual game, we got to talk about how these teams, how they got to the Peach Bowl. Now, let's start with Ole Miss. Colin started 7-0 in the season, got some pretty big wins. And there was one that will be remembered forever in Oxford.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know what game you're talking about. That's the Alabama game. And most fans and most students here, they will remember that game for a long time. The Rebels, that was the test game for them. That was the biggest game of the season, and that declared what this season was all about, how good this team could be, and just the motivation behind this team from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so I mean, they had that 7-0 start, Colin, but then things started to slip for them as they had a tough loss to LSU and Auburn back-to-back.
Yeah, and those losses came after just week in and week out of SEC West, just brutal football. I mean, the best football in the country. And, I mean, you can't help them but feel for the Rebels as they bounced back, and they took on a pretty good, stable Mississippi State team that lost to Alabama at the end of the season, and they beat them 31-17.
Now, the Rebels, they had a chance, Colin, to potentially get into the college football playoff mix if they had beaten Arkansas.
Yeah.
Didn't happen against Arkansas, but fortunately the Rebels bounced back and they beat Mississippi State.
Yeah. And like I said, the SEC West is just a very tough division. And I know the Rebels didn't expect to go out the way they did towards Arkansas, and they probably they wish they could take that game back. But, I mean, hey, that's just what comes with the nature of the SEC. So.
All right, Colin, now let's switch gears to the TCU Horned Frogs. And, boy, did they have a great season, Colin. They went 11-1 in the Big 12 Conference, and they had some huge wins. They beat Minnesota. They picked up a huge home win against Oklahoma. They also beat a good Kansas State team as well. So a lot of big wins for TCU. But what really kept them out of the playoff, Colin, was that tough loss to Baylor. They lost a shootout, 61-58. TCU actually had a 3-touchdown lead earlier in that game. And what really made no sense to me was that the week before the college football playoff came out, TCU was ranked number 3 in the country. And then after beating Iowa State by 52 points, they dropped to 6. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but I guess that all we can say is that the Big 12 got penalized for not having a conference championship game, and ultimately that's why they're not in the top 4.
Yeah, Brown, and like you said, I think that's the problem with this new system, but I believe next season they're gonna go out their way to make sure this situation doesn't happen again, to penalize a good team like TCU or Baylor just because they have to share a co-championship with another team. So let's see what happens next year.
Yeah, and not that it means anything for the matchup that'll be on December 31st, but Ole Miss has the all-time advantage 5-1 against TCU. Now, Colin, what makes this game such a compelling matchup is that Ole Miss has the second highest scoring defense, only allowing 13.8 points per game. TCU, the second highest scoring offense in the country, and there's a lot of playmakers, but I mean, really, when we look at all these numbers, total yards per game, TCU averages 542, Ole Miss averages 443. The defensive yards allowed, Ole Miss gives up 321, TCU, they give up 360. So there's a lot of great playmakers on both of these teams. And let's start with TCU. They're led by quarterback Trayvon Boykin, and the fewest number of points his team has scored in the game this year is 30. So talk about his presence on the football field for the Horned Frogs.
Trayvon Boykin, he's a man amongst boys out there. I mean, he's a dominant athlete, but this year he's mainly focused on just becoming a better quarterback. And I believe he's thrown for over 3,700 yards, and just the fact that he's ran for I don't know how many touchdowns, but
he's actually ran for 8 touchdowns on the season, 642 rushing yards.
Wow. See, the numbers speak for themselves. He's just a dominant athlete, and I believe he can put the Horned Frogs in position to win this game. And
now I'll talk about the Ole Miss quarterback Bo Wallace. And Bo Wallace, I mean, he's had his best, probably his best year at Ole Miss. You know, he's beaten 2 top 5 teams, and you know, on the year, Bo Wallace, he's thrown for over 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns. So Bo Wallace, he's made his presence known for the Rebels. His final game as a senior will be against TCU. And Bo, you know, if this team is playing well, then it's all going to be led by Bo Wallace. So Bo has to be on point if the Rebels want to win against the Horned Frogs. But now let's talk about some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, Colin. Okay. Let's start with TCU. Who really stands out for you?
Well, for TCU, the biggest factor on the defense is Paul Dawson. Paul Dawson led the entire Big 12 in tackles with 128 tackles on the season. In the Baylor game, he had 18 tackles himself. So he's going to be a pretty big dominant force coming in that middle linebacker position come December 31st.
Yeah, and for me, for Ole Miss, I mean, really, there's a lot of seniors that will be playing their final game when it comes to Cody Pruitt, Sinquez Golston, D.T. Shackelford, Cedarius Bryant. There are so many guys that will make their last game. And for Ole Miss, if all these guys can come to play and play great land shark defense, then Ole Miss will have a great shot to win this game. TCU, they have a very high-scoring offense. Ole Miss, they've seen teams, you know, kind of like Auburn, who spread, you know, they spread the ball. But if Ole Miss can really contain a lot of these playmakers for TCU, I think they'll have a good shot in this game.
And I'm happy you brought up the fact that they played teams like Auburn, Alabama with dual threat quarterbacks. And Trayvon Boykin on the offensive side, he's going to be probably the biggest matchup that the Rebels have seen from quarterback position with mobile skills. So let's see what happens.
All right, now let's talk about some keys to victory. Now, Colin, let's start with you. For TCU, for the Horned Frogs, what are their 3 keys to victory?
Okay, for the Horned Frogs, they have 3 keys for victory. 1, prove that they can put up points against this Rebel defense. Just keep it simple as that. The Rebel defense, they don't give up points easily, and they barely slip up. Excuse me. And 2, can Boykin pick apart the Ole Miss secondary? I mean, it's going to be hard trying to get balls past Sinquez Golston and people like Tony Carter, but I believe he has a chance to do it. And he also is very mobile, so he might be able to get a chance to run on, get to the outside and get some extra yardage. 3, can the Horned Frogs defense stop the Rebels running game? I believe if the Horned Frogs can stop the Rebels from running the ball, I mean, the sky's the limit for the Horned Frogs.
And for me, Colin, for Ole Miss, their 3 keys to victory, I think that it all starts out, can Ole Miss, can they get their running backs? Like, you know, you mentioned the running backs. Can Ole Miss get their backs involved in the passing game? Can Bo Wallace throw some bubble screens early to get the running backs, you know, going early? Can he get Jalen Walton, Jordan Wilkins, Itavius Mathers? Can he get some more plays from those guys on, you know, on the passing game than just the ground? Because Ole Miss are not going to have Vince Sanders, they're not going to have Laquan Treadwell. They got to get more production from their running backs in the passing game, because teams, you know, after Evan Ingram's 175-yard game against Mississippi State, teams are going to be looking out for Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking out for Cody Core, and much more. Quincy Adebayo. So, and the second key for Ole Miss, can they hold TCU to under 21 points? I think if you hold them to 3 touchdowns or less, I think that's going to be a very good day for the Rebel defense, considering how high potent this offense is for TCU. I mean, they actually, Colin, they put up 82 points in a game against Texas Tech. So
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
that just scares that just scares me as an Ole Miss fan for TCU.
Do you know how hard it is to score 82 points in a college basketball game?
Oh, yeah.
Let alone a football game.
Oh, I know.
Goodness gracious.
When I first saw that score, 82-27, I thought it was a college basketball game, but it wasn't. And Colin, my third key to victory for Ole Miss is, can Bo Wallace have no turnovers? Remember the first time Ole Miss they played in Atlanta, which was the first game of the season against Boise State, Bo Wallace had 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions in the first half. So now he's going back to the Georgia Dome. Can he contain the football, not make any turnovers, not fumble the ball, not throw any interceptions? If Bo can play good Bo, then I think Ole Miss has a very good chance in this game. Now, Colin, we've both given our keys to victory. We've kind of broken down some key players to look out for. Now let's make some predictions. Colin, I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, my prediction for this game, I think I'm going to have to roll with my Rebel defense. That Landshark defense is going to be on point. And like you said, there's going to be a lot of seniors, and they're going to want to do what the Twins say, show up and show out. So, hey, let's see what they got to do on December 31st, because I'm going with the Rebels.
It's the spread is TCU by 3 points in this game. And, the key is, will TCU, after being snubbed out of the college football playoff, are they going to come out and give all their effort? Because some teams, we remember when Alabama, when they lost to Auburn on that kickoff return by Chris Davis a season ago. Alabama came out in the Sugar Bowl against Oklahoma and got smacked. It seemed like they didn't care at all. But TCU, I really like this team, Colin. I think Gary Patterson, he's a great coach. I'm a big Trayvon Boykin fan. And their running backs, Aaron Green, B.J. Catalon, are 2 great players who really would be the top running back for Ole Miss. I know they're from the Big 12, and they really don't play SEC competition, but I think TCU would do very well in the SEC, and I'm going to take TCU in this one, but very, very close.
Okay, I understand why you picked them. I mean, TCU, like you said, they don't play the level of competition as SEC, but at the same time, they're a team that can score, and they have a dominant. I think they made a dominant statement with the defense in their conference, and just the fact that Boykin, he's a hell of an athlete, and I think he can get the job done.
You've heard all the analysis from Colin and I, and the 2014 Peach Bowl will be December 31st at 12:30 Eastern Time. ESPN will broadcast the action, and that's all we have. So for Colin, Cody, I'm Brad Stubbs. Thank you guys for watching.
And happy holidays.